The clink of our wine glasses in that dimly lit Italian place wasn't just a toast to 5 years married. It was a silent promise of forever wrapped in the cozy comfort of our love. To us, Tom whispered, his eyes twinkling in the candlelight, echoing memories of our Roman honeymoon where life felt like an endless adventure. That night, over plates of pasta that tasted almost as good as in Italy, we laughed, reminiscing about our awkward first dance and plans that never quite went as expected but somehow turned out better. Our life wasn't the stuff of fairy tales. It was better, real, filled with Saturday mornings in pajamas, battling over who'd make coffee while the other tackled the mountain of laundry. We were a team, seamlessly moving through the chores, finding joy in the mundane. Our small suburban home, with its quirks and creaks, was our haven, a testament to our shared life, filled with love and the occasional disagreement over something as trivial as the right way to fold towels. Cooking was our thing. Every Thursday, we'd join Mia, Alex, Raj, and a bunch of others at the community center, chopping and stirring our way through new recipes. It was our way of unwinding, of connecting. These sessions often ended with us all sitting around a makeshift table, sharing stories and dishes that were sometimes good, sometimes disastrous, but always made with laughter. Life was good, simple yet fulfilling. Work was a grind, sure, but coming home to Tom made the long hours worthwhile. When I led my team to a project win, Tom was the first person I wanted to tell. His pride in me, his unwavering support, made every achievement sweeter. Then Michael walked into my life. He was new at work, with a wit that could cut through the tension of any meeting and a smile that, I hate to admit, made my heart skip. It was innocent, really. A lunch here, a coffee there, just colleagues getting to know each other. But as we delved deeper into conversations about everything and nothing, I found myself looking forward to those moments more than I should have. It's just lunch, I tell myself, ignoring the small voice in my head warning me I was treading dangerous waters. Michael was interesting, exciting in a way that made me feel alive, shaking the foundation of the life I had built with Tom. I didn't realize it then, but those lunches were more than just meals. They were the beginning of a chapter one never expected to write, one that would challenge everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and the choices we make when faced with the unexpected. The buzz of my phone had become my new heartbeat, erratic and secretive, each vibration a signal of my double life. Michael's name flashed across the screen more often than I cared to admit, each message a blend of excitement and guilt that I swallowed down with rehearsed justification. Tom doesn't even notice me anymore, I'd whisper to myself, a lie wrapped in the thin veneer of truth to mask the guilt gnawing at my conscience. The transition from emotional to physical was not planned. It was an accident waiting to happen, a line crossed after one too many late nights at the office. The guilt was immediate, a heavy stone in my stomach, yet I found myself returning to Michael, drawn by a connection I couldn't deny yet couldn't justify. Each kiss, each whispered promise was a betrayal, not just of Tom but of the woman I thought I was. Lying to Tom felt like walking on a tightrope without a safety net. Each excuse, each lie, was a step further away from the man I had vowed to spend my life with. It's just a work project. We're swamped, I said, watching his face for signs of doubt when he questioned the late-night texts. His trust was my safety net, one I was tearing apart with each passing day. Balancing my life with Tom and my secret with Michael was exhausting, a constant juggling act that left me anxious and frayed. I meticulously planned my days, ensuring no overlap, no slip-ups that could unravel the web of lies I had woven. But the fear of discovery was a constant shadow, darkening even the moments of supposed happiness with Michael. Suspicion crept into my life like a slow poison. Alex, Tom's friend, became the unexpected catalyst, his observations a mirror to the secrets I thought I had hidden so well. Sarah's been working late a lot, hasn't she? His casual comment to Tom over drinks one evening, laden with unspoken implications, was enough to plant the seeds of doubt. Tom's subsequent quiet, his eyes searching mine for truths I wasn't ready to give, signaled the beginning of the end. The facade of my double life was cracking, each close call with Tom, each suspicious glance from Alex, adding pressure. The guilt, once a dull ache, was now a sharp pain, a constant reminder of the chaos I had created. Yet, I couldn't stop, trapped in a cycle of justification and denial, convinced I could maintain this delicate balance without consequence. As the walls closed in, the thrill of secrecy lost its allure, replaced by the fear of losing everything I held dear. The realization that I was not the victim of circumstance, but the architect of my own downfall was a bitter pill, one I wasn't yet ready to swallow. The moment Tom said, "We need to talk," my heart sank. I knew what was coming. The walls of denial I had built were about to crumble. "Alex mentioned you've been working late a lot," Tom began, his voice steady but his eyes betraying a storm of emotions. "Is there something you're not telling me?" His directness caught me off guard, my mind racing for excuses that sounded less and less convincing even to my own ears. "I don't know what you're talking about, Tom. I've just been really busy with work," I lied, my voice a mixture of defiance and desperation. The rift between us widened with every word, the trust we had built over the years cracking under the weight of my deceit. But it wasn't Alex's observations that broke the dam, it was my own carelessness. One night, Tom's doubt became too much, and he did what I had feared most. He went through my phone, unearthing the secret conversations, the undeniable proof of my betrayal. The confrontation that followed was the most heart-wrenching moment of my life. "How could you, Sarah?" Tom's voice cracked, holding my phone like it was a piece of evidence in a trial where we were both losing. I had no defense, no more lies to hide behind. The truth spilled out in a messy confession, my apologies a feeble attempt to mend what I had shattered. "I'm so sorry, Tom. I never wanted to hurt you." But my words were empty, too late to heal the wounds I had inflicted. The decision for Tom to leave felt like a verdict being passed. He packed his bags, each item a memory, a piece of our life together being compartmentalized into suitcases too small to hold our dreams. Watching him walk away, I felt a part of me leave with him, the finality of his departure a stark reality I wasn't prepared to face. In the days that followed, I tried to reach out, my messages and calls a mix of apologies and pleas for a second chance. But Tom was gone, his silence a clear message that some mistakes couldn't be undone. The emptiness of our home echoed my loneliness, a constant reminder of the life and love I had gambled away. When the divorce papers arrived, it felt like signing away pieces of myself, each signature a confirmation of my failure, my acceptance of the consequences of my actions. Signing those papers was the hardest thing I had ever done, a solemn end to the chapters of love and laughter that once filled our lives. Living alone, I was haunted by the ghost of our marriage, the memories of Tom lingering in the silence. The weight of my choices bore down on me, relentless reminder of the cost of my betrayal. The legal finality of our divorce did nothing to ease the ache in my heart, the loss of not just my husband, but my best friend, my partner, and the life we had built together. The morning I walked into work to find a meeting request from HR in my inbox, I knew the floor was about to drop out from under me. My hands shook as I clicked open the email, the digital words a cold prelude to the demotion that awaited. "Sarah, your recent performance has not met the standards we expect at this company," my manager said, not unkindly, but the disappointment in his eyes was a sharp jab to my already bruised ego. The professional fallout from my personal life implosion was now complete. I had fallen from grace, my career another casualty in a war one had waged against myself. The isolation that followed was profound. Friends, once a shared treasure between Tom and me, now seemed to have chosen sides, and it wasn't mine. Invitations dried up, and my phone, once a lifeline to laughter and companionship, fell silent. The loneliness was a constant echo, a reminder of the community we had built together that I was no longer part of. Their absence was a clear indictment of my choices, a social exile that stung more than I cared to admit. Then, Michael left. The man for whom I had risked everything decided that was too complicated, too messy. "I'm sorry, Sarah, but this isn't what I want," he said, his words the final blow in a series of losses. The irony wasn't lost on me. The affair that had promised excitement and escape had left me more trapped than ever, alone in the ruins of my decisions. In the silence that Michael's departure left, I was forced to confront the magnitude of my actions. The realization of what I had done, the pain I had caused Tom, and the life I had so carelessly thrown away, weighed heavily on me. The regret was a constant companion, whispering reminders of the happiness I had sabotaged. Hearing about Tom's new life through the grapevine was a bittersweet pill. He had moved on, found a new city, a new job, and, apparently, a new partner. The knowledge was a sharp pang, a mix of relief that he was finding happiness again and a deep, aching sorrow that it was without me. The moment I saw them together at a mutual friends event, laughter easy between them, something inside me broke. There was a finality in his happiness, a clear sign that the chapter of us was well and truly closed. I had held on to a thread of hope that there was still a connection, but seeing him so content, so healed, severed it. In a moment of desperation, I reached out, hoping for a chance to talk, to apologize, to seek some form of closure. But Tom's refusal to meet was the closure I hadn't known I needed. His silence spoke volumes, a clear message that it was time for me to let go, to stop reaching for a past that had crumbled through my own actions. That night, as I sat alone in the silence of the home we once shared, I realized that the journey ahead was mine alone. The path to forgiveness, to rebuilding, didn't lie in the past I had destroyed but in the future I had yet to create. Tom had moved on, and it was time for me to do the same, however daunting that prospect seemed. The moment I lost the Jefferson account, I could almost hear the final nail in the coffin of my career being hammered in. "Sarah, this is a significant loss for us," my boss said, disappointment etched in every word. I sat there, numb, the professional facade I had maintained for so long finally crumbling. My mind wasn't on my work, it hadn't been for months. It was lost in a whirlwind of regret and what-ifs, a tempest that had now cost me one of our biggest clients. Evenings were the hardest. The house that once buzzed with laughter and love now stood silent, a mausoleum to my broken marriage. I'd wander from room to room, trailing my fingers over surfaces, conjuring memories of better days that played out like ghosts before my eyes. The loneliness was suffocating, a constant reminder of the void left by Tom's absence. In a bid to quell the solitude, I ventured back into the dating scene, a decision that felt more like a betrayal than a step forward. Each date was a stark reminder of what I had lost. Laughter felt forced, conversations hollow. No one could penetrate the fortress of guilt I had built around myself. My heart, still entangled in the ruins of my marriage, refused to let anyone else in. One evening, the weight of my loneliness and regret converged into a breakdown that left me gasping for air. The floor of my living room became my solace, a place to let the tears and heartaches spill out unchecked. It was there, amidst the sobs and shattered pieces of my life, that I realized the full extent of what I had lost. Not just Tom, but a part of myself, too. Therapy was my next step, a desperate attempt to find a way through the fog of my own making. Sitting in that sterile room, recounting the steps that led me to this point, I began the slow process of understanding my actions and seeking forgiveness, not from Tom, but from myself. It was a journey fraught with pain, but necessary. Driven by a need for closure, I penned a letter to Tom, pouring every ounce of my remorse and longing for forgiveness onto the paper. It was an apology from the deepest part of my soul, an acknowledgement of the hurt I had caused. I mailed it without any expectation of a reply, a symbolic gesture more for me than for him. The response I had secretly hoped for never came. Tom's silence was a clear message, a final seal on the chapter of our lives together that I had so carelessly torn apart. It was a painful acceptance, but in its own way, it granted me a sense of closure. The journey forward was mine alone, a path I had to tread with the lessons of my past firmly in hand. The road to redemption was long and uncertain, but for the first time since everything fell apart, I felt a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, I could rebuild from the ruins. The moment my boss called me into his office, I knew my time was up. "Sarah, we need to talk about your performance," he began, his tone laden with a finality that echoed the hollow feeling in my stomach. The words that followed were a blur, a mix of downsizing and difficult decisions, but the message was clear. I was out of a job. The walk back to my desk was a walk of shame, my personal failures spilling over into my professional life, leaving me adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The decision to leave came as a sudden impulse, a desperate need to escape the ruins of my life. Packing up my belongings felt like shedding a skin, each box a container for the memories and mistakes I was eager to leave behind. The drive to my new city was a journey between two selves, the person I had been and the person I hoped to become. Starting over was no small feat. The new job I landed was a far cry from the position I had lost, a reminder of how far I had fallen. Yet, there was a certain relief in starting from scratch, a humbling experience that forced me to confront the realities of my situation head-on. It was a chance to rebuild, to prove to myself that I could rise from the ashes of my own making. The weight of my past decisions lingered heavily, a constant companion in my solitary moments. It was in these moments of reflection that I understood the true cost of my actions, the loss of love, of trust, and of the life I had once cherished. The realization was a bitter pill, but it marked the beginning of a long overdue process of acceptance. Establishing a new routine in this unfamiliar city was like learning to navigate a foreign land. I threw myself into my work with a fervor I hadn't felt in months, determined to make the most of this second chance. Outside of work, I filled my time with activities that nourished my soul, from early morning runs to quiet evenings spent reading or exploring my new surroundings. It was a simple life, but it was mine, free from the shadows of my past. The unexpected encounter with Michael at a conference was a test I hadn't anticipated. Seeing him there, amidst the crowd, reignited a storm of emotions within me, anger, betrayal, and a lingering sense of what could have been. Yet, as I stood there, facing the man who had once turned my world upside down, I realized that he no longer held any power over me. Walking away from him, I felt a sense of closure, a final confirmation that I was moving in the right direction. Volunteering became a cornerstone of my new life, a way to give back and connect with others on a level one had never experienced before. Helping those in need offered a perspective that was both humbling and healing, allowing me to step outside of myself and see the world through the eyes of others. It was through this work that I began to rebuild my sense of self-worth, finding strength in the resilience of the human spirit. This journey of self-discovery and recovery was not without its challenges, but each step forward was a step away from the person I had been. In the end, it was the realization that true growth comes from facing our deepest fears and failures head-on, and the understanding that it's never too late to change the course of our story. The day I stepped into the coffee shop, a place once fraught with memories of Tom and me, my heart raced, not from fear, but from a newfound sense of belonging. There, amidst the familiar aroma of roasted beans and the gentle hum of quiet conversations, I found myself surrounded by a group of people who, like me, were on their own journeys of recovery and discovery. These new friendships, built on the solid ground of honesty and mutual respect, became my anchor, gradually filling the void left by the friends who sided with Tom. Months rolled by, and the sharp edges of my past began to blur. The affair, the collapse of my marriage, transformed from raw, open wounds into scars, reminders of a chapter closed, lessons learned. In this distance from my past, I found a clarity I hadn't realized I was searching for, a perspective that allowed me to look back without being consumed by regret. Solitude, once my prison, became my sanctuary. In the quiet moments of my new life, I discovered a peace I hadn't known was possible. There was beauty in the stillness, a gentle strength in the ability to sit with myself, unburdened by the tumult of my emotions. It was in these moments that I reconnected with parts of myself I had long neglected. Cooking, a hobby Tom and I once shared with love and laughter, found its way back into my life. But this time, it was a bridge to my own soul, a way to nourish not just my body but my spirit. Each dish was a celebration of simplicity, a joy found in the rhythm of chopping and stirring, a testament to the healing powers of returning to one's roots. Therapy sessions became my compass, guiding me through the murky waters of self-reflection and accountability. Acknowledging my mistakes wasn't easy, understanding the depth of the hurt I caused was even harder. Yet, it was through this raw, unflinching examination of my actions that I began to truly understand the importance of accountability, the first step on long road to forgiveness of myself, and hoping for forgiveness from those I wronged. Growth is a painful process, marked by setbacks and victories in equal measure. But as I stood, looking back on the path I had traveled, I saw not just the pain I had endured, but the strength I had found within myself. I had grown, not in spite of my adversities, but because of them. My past, with all its turmoil, was the crucible that forged the person I was becoming. The encounter with Tom, during an unexpected visit back to our old city, was a testament to how far I had come. Seeing him, cordial yet distant, was a poignant reminder of what we had shared and what we had lost. Yet, there was no bitterness, only a silent acknowledgement of the journey we had both undertaken since our paths diverged. In his demeanor, I saw the closure I had been seeking, a sign that it was truly time to move forward. Acceptance was my final frontier. Accepting the end of my marriage, the consequences of my actions, was a solemn process, a quiet surrender to the realities of my choices. But in this acceptance, I found a sense of peace, a closure that allowed me to look to the future with hope. I understood, perhaps for the first time, the preciousness of what I once had and the cost of my choices. Rebuilding my life wasn't just about moving past my mistakes. It was about learning from them, about crafting a future that honored the lessons my past had taught me. Let me tell you about the time I thought I was slick, the time I thought I could pull one over on John, my husband of 5 blissful, or so I thought, years. We had our little rituals, you know? Movie nights curled up on the couch with popcorn kernels lost in the sofa cushions, and Sundays were sacred for walks in the park with Max, our overly enthusiastic Labrador. Life was good, simple, and utterly predictable. Too predictable, maybe. So, this one time, I cooked up a story about needing a girls' weekend away, some nonsense about recharging my batteries and bonding with the ladies. John, bless his trusting heart, bought it hook, line, and sinker. Even encouraged me to go have fun, if only he knew. I wasn't headed for a weekend of gossip and margaritas. Nope. I met Derek, this guy I'd been chatting with, feeling things I hadn't felt in years. At the airport, we jetted off to Cancun, to a place dripping with luxury and secrets. It felt like stepping into another world. One where I wasn't just Anna, John's wife, but Anna, the adventurer, the rule breaker. Derek and I, we were careful. No photos, no social media check-ins. Nothing that could tie back to our little escapade. It was a weekend of stolen moments, of forgetting the life I had back home. Meanwhile, John was doing his thing, unaware of the storm brewing. He kept himself busy, hanging out with friends, probably enjoying the break from my nagging about leaving his socks everywhere. He missed me, sure, but life went on. Coming back home was surreal. I spun tales about the wild nights and the crazy things my friends and I did. John ate it up, laughing and holding me close, saying he missed me. And I almost believed my own lies. A week of normalcy passed. We fell back into our routines, the deceitful weekend tucked away like a dark secret, until the day that damn envelope showed up. No sender. Just proof of my betrayal, pictures of Derek and me, in moments I thought were hidden from the world. Imagine that. My world, the one I so carefully balanced between the thrill of the new and the comfort of the old, came crashing down. All because I underestimated, well, everything. Picture this. I'm at home, feeling pretty chuffed with myself for pulling off the most reckless weekend of my life. Then, bam, the universe decides to throw a curveball. John walks in, face like thunder, clutching an envelope. My heart skips a beat. No, actually, it pretty much stops. He slams down these photos on the table, and there we are, Derek and I, all cozy and couple-y in Cancun. My brain screaming, how the hell did these get here? John's looking at me, and I swear, the hurt in his eyes is something I'll never forget. He's like, how could you, Anna? And I'm there, mouth flapping open and closed. No words coming out because, honestly, what could I say? I can explain, I stutter, but John's not having any of it. I need you to leave, he says, voice all cold and distant. It felt like someone had punched me in the gut. I never thought I'd see the day where he'd look at me like I was a stranger. So, I did the only thing I could. I packed a bag and crashed at my friend Lisa's place, who, by the way, had no idea about the whole Derek situation. Try explaining that mess, it's complicated. I told her, drowning in my own sea of shame and regret. Next, I'm on the phone to Derek, who's just as blindsided as I am. I swear, Anna, I didn't send those photos, he insists. Part of me wants to believe him. But then, who did? My mind's racing through possibilities, each more unlikely than the last. I turned detective, trying to piece together how my secret got out. I called the resort, checked if anyone saw us, grilled Derek about anyone who might want to hurt him or me. But every lead turned into a dead end. It was like chasing shadows. Meanwhile, John's getting advice from his buddies, all of them egging him on to kick me to the curb for good. She betrayed you, man. Lawyer up, they told him. And damn, if he didn't listen. Hearing through the grapevine about divorce lawyers and custody talks over Max was a new kind of low. I couldn't give up without a fight, though. So, I tried reaching out to John, sent texts, left voicemails. Please, let's talk about this, I begged. But it was like talking to a wall. He had made up his mind. The man I thought I knew, who I thought would forgive any mistake I made, was gone. Replaced by someone who looked at me like I was the biggest mistake of his life. That's the thing about trust. Once it's shattered, good luck piecing it back together. And there I was, trying to glue it back with apologies and promises I wasn't even sure I could keep. But, John, he was done. And honestly, looking back, I can't blame him. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you do, please take a moment to hit that like button. It really helps me out and lets me know you appreciate the content. Also, if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. Subscribing is a great way to stay updated with all the latest videos and to be part of our growing community. It's quick, it's free, and it ensures you won't miss out on any upcoming content. So go ahead, smash that like button and hit subscribe. Your support means a lot and keeps this channel going. Thanks for watching. The divorce proceedings kicked off, and let me tell you, it was like watching a slow-motion car crash. You want to look away, but you just can't. John and I, we were both a mess, angry, sad. You name it. Every meeting, every document signed, felt like another nail in the coffin of us. Then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more twisted, the bombshell dropped. Through the grapevine, because apparently, I was the last to know, I find out it was Derek's ex, the one he always called crazy, who sent the photos. Talk about a plot twist, right? She was aiming for him but hit me square in the chest. I confronted Derek, all guns blazing. How could you not know she'd do something like this? I demanded. His face was a picture of regret, or maybe just embarrassment. Hard to tell. He admitted he knew she was bitter, but never thought she'd go nuclear. I didn't mean for you to get hurt, he kept saying. Yeah, well, intention and outcome are two very different things, buddy. There I was, smack dab in the middle of the wreckage of my own making. The weight of what I'd done, the sheer scale of the fallout, it all hit me. I'd wrecked my marriage, hurt the one person who'd been my rock, and for what? A fling with a guy who clearly had his own baggage carousel of issues. I tried, in some feeble way, to patch things up with John. Sent texts, left voicemails, even wrote an old school letter, pouring out apologies I wasn't sure I had the right to offer. But John, he was done. Wouldn't even see me. He was all in on moving forward. Minus one wife who couldn't keep it together. And then, as if my personal life imploding wasn't enough, the ripple effects hit my social circle. Friends who'd been ride or die started ghosting me. Can't say I blame them. I mean, I'd messed up royally, and it's not like betrayal is a great look on anyone. Work became its own battlefield. Whispers in the break room, side eyes at meetings. My personal drama had somehow become everyone's favorite soap opera. And let me tell you, trying to focus on spreadsheets while knowing you're the hot topic of office gossip? Not exactly a productivity booster. So, yeah, that's where I found myself, divorced, friendless, in the center of workplace whispers. It was like I'd hit the trifecta of life fails. Reflecting on everything, I realized the damage was done. My choices, my mistakes, They'd set off a chain reaction that changed the course of so many lives, not just mine. And Derek? He turned out to be just another chapter in my book of bad decisions. A painful lesson in trust, or the lack thereof, and a reminder that sometimes, the most destructive enemy can be the one staring back at you in the mirror. Just when I thought I'd hit rock bottom, Derek decides he's had enough of that drama. His word, not mine. Anna, I can't do this anymore, he tells me, and just like that, I'm left to pick up the pieces of my life alone. It's funny, in a not so hilarious way, how quickly someone can exit your life, leaving behind nothing but chaos. There I was, utterly isolated. Friends? Gone. Husband? Ex? Lover? Out of the picture. It's like I was the star of my own tragic show, except the audience had left, and the lights were dimming. The regret was this heavy, tangible thing, weighing me down. I'd lost John, lost myself, and for what? A fling that left me more broken than I ever thought possible. So, I made a decision. Time for a change, a big one. I was going to move, start over in a new city where nobody knew my name or my shame. The thought was both terrifying and liberating. A fresh start, a blank slate, something I desperately needed. But the universe had one more gut punch waiting for me. The night before I was set to leave, I got a message from John. No text, just a photo of us, back when happiness wasn't just a memory. We were smiling, genuinely so, with a note attached that read, "We were real, once." It hit me like a ton of bricks. John, in his quiet, understated way, had summed up our entire history in 5 words. We were real, and I'd thrown that away. That message, that reminder of what I'd sacrificed for a fleeting moment of excitement, stayed with me. It was a sharp, painful clarity, slicing through the fog of my self-pity and regret. I'd messed up, big time, and there was no undoing it. But maybe, just maybe, I could learn from it. Packing up my life into boxes felt symbolic, like I was boxing up my past mistakes too, hoping to leave them behind. I drove out of town with a mix of emotions swirling inside me, sadness, fear, but also a flicker of hope. I was determined to do better, to be better. Not for John, not for anyone else, but for me. Meanwhile, John was on his own path to healing. I heard through the grapevine that he was doing well, focusing on his career, spending time with friends, rebuilding his life without me. It was bittersweet, knowing he was moving on, but also a relief. He deserved happiness, even if it was without me in the picture. So, here's the thing about mistakes, they're inevitable. But what you do next, how you pick yourself up and move forward, that's what defines you. As I settled into my new life, new job, and new surroundings, I carried that lesson with me. Some errors are irreparable, sure, but they don't have to define the rest of your story. John found solace in his work, in new beginnings that didn't include me. And as for me, I started this journey of self-discovery, of learning to forgive myself, and of understanding the real cost of my actions. It wasn't easy, but nothing worth doing ever is. I vowed to live my life with integrity, to make choices I could be proud of, and to never forget the lesson learned from the greatest mistake of my life. So, here's the deal. When life gives you lemons, sometimes you just gotta make lemonade. Or, in my case, start from scratch in a new city with a heart heavier than my suitcase. Picture this. Meet Anna, rolling into this new place with a fresh lease on life. Or so I hoped. John, meanwhile, was doing his own thing back home, adopting a new dog. Heard he named it Buddy. Symbolic. Huh? A fresh start. A new companion to fill the space I guess I left. Can't say it didn't sting, hearing about him moving on so definitively, but part of me was genuinely happy for him. He deserved that much, at least. Settling into this new city was no walk in the park. Got myself a job that paid the bills in a tiny apartment that was more cozy than claustrophobic on a good day. But making friends? That was a whole other ballgame. Turns out, being the new girl in town isn't as charming when you're lugging around a suitcase full of regrets and what-ifs. Through the grapevine, because apparently, I've got my own personal gossip network, I heard that John was doing well. It was a weird mix of relief and sorrow. Glad he was finding his way out of the mess I'd made. But it also hammered home just how far apart our worlds had drifted. That's when I decided to give therapy a shot. Picture me, sitting in this stark office, spilling my guts to a stranger. Sounds fun, right? But, surprisingly, it helped. Unpacking all that guilt and digging into the whys behind my spectacularly bad choices was like lancing a wound. Painful, but necessary. And then there was the support group. Imagine a bunch of strangers, each with their own tales of mess-ups, sitting in a circle, sharing. It was like awe, but for screw-ups like me. Finding people who got it, who understood the struggle of trying to piece together a life after you've blown it up. It was a game changer. Month by month, I chipped away at rebuilding myself, focused on self-improvement, on learning from the colossal mistakes I'd made. It wasn't easy. There were days when all I wanted was to crawl back into my old life, pretend none of this ever happened. But that wasn't an option, not really. So, there I was, slowly but surely putting together a new normal. Working, therapy, support group meetings, rinse and repeat. Making amends where I could, even if it was just with myself. Learning to forgive myself was the hardest part. But as cliché as it sounds, it was also the most crucial step. Let me spill the beans on the latest. John's back in the dating game. Yeah, you heard right. Mr. I'll never love again. Found himself dipping toes back into the love pool. Cautious, but with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Can't say it didn't twist my heart a bit. But hey, life goes on. Right? And then, as if fate had a weird sense of humor, I bumped into Derek. Of all places, at the grocery store, between the cereals and the canned beans. Talk about anticlimactic reunions. Our hellos were stiff, the air thick with all the things left unsaid. But it was clear as day. Whatever spark once burned was now just a pile of cold ashes. That moment, awkward as it was, slapped me with a realization. I've changed, grown. The Anna that once got tangled up with Derek, she's long gone. And with that, I closed the book on that chapter of my life. No regrets, no lingering what-ifs. In this whirlwind of change, I found a new calling, volunteer work. There's something about helping others navigate their storms that gives me a sense of purpose, a way to make sense of my own mess. It's like my past pains are fueling my present purpose, guiding lost souls through their darkest nights. Meanwhile, John's script took a turn for the romantic. He met someone, and from the whispers I've heard, she's the real deal. Their thing is built on trust, on open communication, something we could never quite nail down. It's bittersweet, but more than anything, I'm happy for him. He's turned the page, and so have I. Out of the blue, I got this letter from an old friend, one of the many bridges I thought I'd burned beyond repair. It was short, sweet, and to the point, a message of forgiveness. That letter, crinkled and tear-stained, was a reminder that time can heal, that people can grow, and that forgiveness is possible, even in the most unexpected ways. And so, after all the drama, the heartbreak, and the self-discovery, I've arrived at a place of peace. Forgiving myself wasn't easy. It was a journey riddled with doubts and setbacks. But I've come to understand that I can't undo the past. What I can do, however, is shape my future, learn from my mistakes, and move forward with a heart full of hope and a mindset on making the most out of this second chance. So here I am, standing on the brink of a new chapter, a testament to the fact that no matter how far you fall, there's always a way back up. It's not about erasing the past but embracing it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone to a better, brighter future. So, there I was, sitting at my desk, pen in hand, staring down at a blank piece of paper. It felt like the hardest thing I'd ever had to write. Not a love letter, not even a goodbye note, but an apology to John. An apology for the chaos I'd caused, for the heart I'd broken, and for the life we could have had. I poured everything into that letter, every ounce of regret, every wish for his happiness, every promise to do better. But after sealing it, I just couldn't bring myself to send it. It sat there, on my kitchen counter, like a testament to a chapter of my life I was ready to close. I decided to keep it, not as a token of what I lost, but as a reminder of who I've become. A reminder that growth often comes from our lowest points. As time went on, I started to put down roots in this new city, finding my tribe, people who didn't know Anna the cheater or Anna the liar, just Anna. And you know what? It felt good, real good. I started sharing my story, not for pity or redemption, but as a cautionary tale. If my mess ups could steer someone clear of making the same mistakes, then maybe it was all worth it. Meanwhile, John was living his best life, or so I heard. He and his partner, they went and adopted another dog, a buddy for buddy. My heart swelled at the news. They were building something beautiful, something I had no part in, and that was okay. He found his happiness, and that was all I ever wanted for him. Back on my end, things were looking up too. Work, which had been my sanctuary and distraction, paid off. I got that promotion I'd been gunning for. A nod to the long hours and extra miles I'd put in. It was more than a step up the career ladder. It was validation that I could start over, that my past didn't define my future. Every now and then, I catch myself reminiscing about the life John and I shared. The memories, once painful, now brought a bittersweet comfort. I was learning to look back without regret, to appreciate what we had while accepting it was over. Our story had its time, and its end was just as important as its beginning. The final scene of this chapter of my life finds me on my balcony, watching the sun dip below the horizon. It's one of those moments that's all about reflection, about understanding the journey. The air's filled with the promise of a new day, and as I stand there, I'm at peace. I've come to terms with the choices I made, the people I heard, and the lessons I learned. This story, my story, it's not just about falling down. It's about getting back up. It's about finding strength in vulnerability, wisdom in mistakes,